Okay, hi! Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I screen print things from home. Mostly I do like t-shirts and things. This is the design I'm going to be printing in this video. It's kind of like a little bit of a nice reminder to stay at home if you can, please. This is a really simple process. As long as you pay attention and you're patient with everything, it should be fine. I think we should just hop right in. But yeah, this is how I screen print things from home. Alright folks, this is what you're gonna need. A screeny baby, some fabric ink, this one is red, a little baby piece of cardboard, one black sheet of paper. You're also gonna need some tape. I am using some green painter's tape, a glass sheet. I stole this one off of an old frame that I have. A squeegee, yes, that is its real name. A UV light. This one came in the Speedball screen printing kit. Some transparent sheets. I got these ones at Michael's, but I believe you can also get them at Staples. Ye old sink. Trusty and it does its job. Some photo emulsion. This one also came in the screen printing kit. Something to print on. This is from Village. A printer and a computer, and last but not least, your design. Oh my god, this is like so scandalous. Katie, hashtag Lady Katie in the shower. Oh god. But yeah, it would be ideal if you had one of these little squirty thingies with the handle, because you can really control the water a lot better. Basically, I'm just going over it. Alright folks, now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So here are some things to remember. First of all, this whole process occurs in a dimly lit room. Second of all, you want to coat your screen with your photo emulsion evenly. And third of all, you got to scrape the excess emulsion. So let me show you what that looks like. Basically, I'm just putting my photo emulsion in a nice healthy little blob at the top of my screen. I'm taking my squeegee and I'm just going in one nice smooth motion all the way down the screen. Okay, so in this spot I did miss a little tiny baby section at the very top, so I'm just going over it with a little bit more emulsion. I am on my very last bit of this bottle, so I'm trying to make it last. Next, I'm just flipping it over and I'm taking my little baby piece of cardboard and I'm scraping off all the emulsion that is left on the other side and trying to save that for my next time. And then I flip it over once more and do the same thing. We're gonna leave that screen in a completely dark room or very, very dimly lit room overnight so that the next day we're all ready to do the next step. Alright folks, this is the fun part, the design. Basically what I'm doing here is I am drawing on the app Procreate on my iPad Pro. And I'm doing up a little design. Basically what I've noticed in the past with my designs and screen printing is the simpler the better. The less detail there is, the better and more clear it will come out. So this time when I'm doing this, you'll notice when I do the outline, I'm using a pretty thick brush. This way I know that it's going to come out nice and clean, and I'm trying not to leave any kind of like close spots with any of the lines. So it all comes out really clear, and yeah. The next thing you're going to want to do is take out the background of your image. I'm doing this in Procreate, but there's lots of other apps that you can use. Basically, I'm just exporting this image as a PNG. That way the whole background will be gone. When we print it out, it'll just be that solid black outline and no white background. Here I'm just uploading my image to Google Slides. The reason that I use Google Slides is that it's really nice for formatting, super simple. Basically what I'm just doing is I'm making it so it's 11 by 8.5 inches. I'm clicking on the image, I'm going down to format options, and then I'm flipping my image horizontally so that the whole image is reversed. And the reason that I do this is that when I print out my transparency, I want the ink to be the closest thing to the screen when I expose it so that the light doesn't diffuse and make the image all fuzzy. Okay, so it is the next morning. Basically what we've done so far is we've covered our screen in the emulsion, we've let it dry overnight, we worked on our design, and we are going to move on to our next step. Woo, yeah! Printing the transparency. Ooh! Basically, what we're doing in this step is we're just grabbing our transparency, we're making sure it fits with our 8.5 by 11 standard paper size, so that when we put it through the printer, it's just gonna be nice and smooth. Here I'm just basically printing out a test run of my design. I'm gonna hold this up to my shirt, play around with it a bit, see if it is the desired size. And I actually ended up liking the size that I printed out on the very first time, which is kind of rare. So I'm just popping my transparency into the paper tray of my printer, and then I'm printing it out. Alright, here is my very favorite step. Now, emulsion is kind of a little bit like a vampire, alright? Just hear me out. When you put this little baby in direct sunlight, it will just shrivel up and die. So you gotta be really careful not to scare it away. Okay, so basically for this next step, this is like where all the magic happens, so it's super exciting. But basically I'm just propping up my little platform for where we're gonna put the frame, and I'm just putting this black sheet of paper down onto it, and I'm placing the screen 16 inches away from the bulb so that it doesn't over or underexpose. I'm gonna put up a little chart here so you can see my screens are 10 by 14 inches. So I follow the guide that the Speedball chart has, and basically I'm just going to lay that down. I'm going to bring in the frame, I'm going to put the transparency over it, and then I'm going to put my glass sheet over it. We're going to expose it, and then we'll come back to it later. I'm plugging in my UV light here and I'm exposing it. Yay! This is the most exciting part, but it's also kind of the most annoying part because you have to wait. My timer is set for 8 minutes, so I come back in 8 minutes and I unplug that baby. I'm just peeling off that glass and the transparency, and then we're gonna go and wash our screen and see what it looks like. Now we're just gonna wash that baby. So the first time I did this, I remember I was like so nervous because when I put it under the water, I expected all of the little bits of the unbaked emulsion to just fall out immediately. But it really does take a second, so just be patient with it. Don't scrub it too hard. I'm just kind of lightly going over it with like a little sponge, and sometimes I just like run my finger over it. But it should be fine if you just run your tap over it. It'll get those little bits out eventually, so just be patient with it. I was pretty happy with the end result of this, actually. It turned out pretty clean. I was really happy with all the nice pretty little crisp lines. Don't mean to toot my own horn there. But yeah, now I'm just letting it dry. So right now I'm just taping up all of the edges that weren't covered in the emulsion. Just what you want to do here is just make sure you're getting all the corners so that no ink can like sneak through. I'm going on both sides. I'm using some green painter's tape and I'm just covering that baby as best as I possibly can. And finally, the part you guys were all waiting for, the actual printing. So let's cover some basics before we go into it. When you go in to do your very first print, you want to practice on just like a piece of copy paper or something that is not your clothes, just to make sure that the design comes out how you would like it to. So right now I'm just putting a nice big healthy blob of ink at the very top of my screen. And here I'm doing what's called flooding, and I'm just basically making sure that there's ink in every little inch of the screen. And here I'm laying my paper underneath the screen. I'm grabbing my squeegee, and then I'm pulling it back at a 45-degree angle with a little bit of pressure. Now I'm just peeling that copy paper off, and after you're gonna see me flood the screen once more to make sure that the ink doesn't dry up. So you want to flood the screen every time you finish a print, just to make sure that the screen doesn't get all crusty. So here are some things to remember as you're doing your prints. First of all, you're going to line up your ink at the very top of your design. You're going to flood that screen. You're going to place your item exactly where you want it to be. You are going to pull your ink with your squeegee at a 45-degree angle. And then finally, you're going to flood your screen again and repeat the whole process. Okay, so I promise this is the very last step of this process. So basically we're just setting the ink. I'm putting my iron to the cotton setting. I'm placing a piece of copy paper over my design once the ink has completely dried. And when I say completely, I mean completely. Be patient with it. And then I'm just going over the copy paper for like 1 to 2 minutes. I have burnt a hole through a shirt before, so really try and make sure you're doing this evenly and try not to exceed the 2-minute limit on this. Thank you so much for enduring the cringiest modeling you have ever seen. But for real though, I hope you guys are staying safe, staying clean, and most importantly, staying at home. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.